If you could, please stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Henry Branham to come forward and swear in our new board member, Ms. Dora Hall.
Dora Lynn Hall, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand, and then when we get started, if you will say aye, and then repeat your name, and then I'll take you to repeat your oath. This is the constitutional oath of office that all state and county and city officials.
I, Dora Hall,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky,
and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky,
so long as I continue a citizen thereof,
as long as I continue a citizen thereof,
and that I will faithfully execute
and that I will faithfully execute,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
the office of
the office of
District 2, Clark County Public Schools,
District 2, Clark County Public Schools,
Board of Education,
Board of Education member,
according to law.
according to law.
And I do further solemnly swear or affirm
And I do further solemnly swear and affirm
that since the adoption of the present Constitution,
that since the adoption of the present Constitution,
that I, being a citizen of this state,
that I, being a citizen of this state,
have not fought a duel with deadly weapons
have not fought a duel with deadly weapons,
within this state or elsewhere,
not in this state nor out of it,
nor have I sent or accepted
nor have I sent nor accepted
a challenge to fight a duel
a challenge to fight a duel
with deadly weapons,
with deadly weapons,
nor have I acted as a second
nor acted as a second
in carrying a challenge,
in carrying a challenge,
nor aided or assisted
nor aided nor assisted
any person
any person
thus offended,
thus offended,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Now, the second oath is this is oath for school board members, along with administrative, this name for this district. The state of Kentucky, county of Clark,
The state of Kentucky, the county of Clark,
state your name,
Dora Lynn Hall,
being duly sworn
being duly sworn
that you are eligible under the law
that I am eligible under the law
to serve as a member of the Board of Education,
to serve as a member of the Board of Education,
and that you will not,
and that I will not,
while serving as a member of such board,
while serving as a member of such board,
become interested, directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
in any contract
in any contract
with or claim against
with or claim against
the board,
the board,
and that you will not
and that I will not,
in any way
in any way,
influence the hiring
influence the hiring
or appointment of district employees,
or appointment of district employees,
except the hiring
except the hiring
of the superintendent of schools
the superintendent of schools
or school board attorney.
or school board attorney,
So help you God.
so help me God.
That's enough.
Thank you, Judge Branham. And now you're official, Gordon.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Now to the adoption of the agenda. Any thoughts, questions, concerns?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. That was unanimous. Actually, I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry. Approval of minutes for September 23rd, 22 special meeting and September 27th, 2022 regular meeting. And Dora, You were not present for either of those, so you will, abstain. Sorry, couldn't find the word, thank you, so.
We may need to split those up because I was unable to make the 27th meeting.
That's right.
So I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes of September 23rd meeting.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion for the September 27th meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Can we, I'll second it, but can I have a discussion for just 1 second on that meeting? I had a few emails that I wanted to address while we were on that. I know some people did not realize, and since I just want to document this for the record, that I was live, online. It was not just Miss Richardson and Miss Hendricks voting. I know that that was kind of going around that they had a meeting by themselves, but I was here. I was just on the computer. Miss Hendricks was corresponding with me through text on votes that could not be heard, or if we were having internet issues. If I voted, I know there was an issue with one vote that she did go back and change. So I did want to clarify that I was present, so they did have 3 board members.
Thank you.
Huh?
Thank you.
So I have a motion and a second?
Yeah, I second
Okay.
it. I just wanted to make sure that was clarified on the record.
Okay, good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Student support and staff, or student and staff recognition. We would like to recognize Miss Arlene Nance, who keeps us all together and manages everyone and their needs and their personalities and does a fine job. She is retiring. And Dustin,
So we kind of worked with Senator Ralph Alvarado in his office in the Senate. So we've got you this very nice decree that you can take with you. And I'm going to have Ms. Hendricks read it so it can be on record. And then we also may have got you another gift possibly. We'll come take pictures after that.
the Senate, Commonwealth of Kentucky, to whom these presents shall come greetings. Know ye that Arlene Nance is recognized and honored upon the auspicious occasion of her retirement as Administrative Assistant to Superintendent Dustin Howard of the Clark County School District, where she has most ably fulfilled the duties of her post since accepting the position in January 2009. Inasmuch as Arlene Nance has worked tirelessly and with tremendous warmth, skill, and professionalism over the course of her career, and as a result has earned the respect and admiration of her colleagues and all of those whose lives have been positively impacted by her hard work and commitment. She has offered sincere commendation and gratitude for her years of exemplary service, is extended best wishes for the utmost success and good fortune as she embarks upon a well-earned retirement. And on the motion of Senator Ralph Alvarado, is hereby deemed this honorable body most worthy of its recognition. And all of those things in there, she has worked tirelessly and with tremendous warmth and skill. And really, I always tell people when we talk about Miss Nance that she is a professional till the end. And it has never wavered from that since I've known her. And it has been a pleasure, honestly, to get to know you during my service on the board. You're welcome.
We appreciate you.
Let's all get a picture with her.
Yeah, everybody. It's not just the Susan.
Thank you.
So go out on the bike school bike.
Thank you for taking care of all of us.
Yes.
Darling. With that being said, we walk you from your seat.
Public comment, Mr. Cason? Thank you. No public comment. Student learning and instructional services, consider approval of continuing education options through Bloomberg. Dr. Parrish.
Mr. Cason's getting the PowerPoint loaded up here. So Bloomboard is a talent development provider, and our partnership with Bloomboard will be to provide job and embedded professional development for teachers, which is research and accredited while the teacher's in the classroom. So Educational Professional Standards Board created the continuing education option, which allows teachers and supports teachers.
Dr. Parrish, could you
Oh,
bring that
yeah.
over? Thank you.
I'm already on the next page too, Mr. Casey.
And an extra board member, we had to adjust the
Revenue.
angle.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
There we go. So the Educational Professional Standards Board is who checks laws, regulations to make sure that teachers are certified in achieving the ranks that they do. So this CEO2 option allows teachers to achieve rank 1 or rank 2, which is not a master's degree, but it does meet statutory regulations that allow teachers to get, loosely we call it in-house rank changes. So Bloomboard would be the platform that we would use to achieve this. On to the next one. So I pulled the 2021-2020 Clark County report card on staff, and right now we currently have 381 full-time teachers. Only 18% of our teachers hold a rank 1. Our average teacher turnover, and I pulled the last 4 to 5 years just to get a better baseline, but our average teacher turnover is 65 to 75 teachers a year. And the National Commission on Teaching and America's Future did a study in 2017 on some urban districts and found that it cost about $20,000 to replace each teacher. I know we're not that urban and that large, but I would estimate somewhere around 8,000 to 10,000 is what we turnover per teacher that leaves us. So really like to work on that teacher retention piece. Also, the study found that teachers are 50% more likely to stay if they feel prepared in a district. And teacher turnover has actually increased nationally for the last 20 years. So this is kind of one of our efforts to try to curb that in Clark County. So on to the next one, please. So our goals with the professional development through Bloomboard is to increase student achievement through research-based classroom practices, improve teacher retention, create opportunities for career advancement and higher compensation, which are the rank changes, and align instruction with district priorities and teacher goals. And that's important because we're going to be indoctrinating our teachers in Clark County's goals and our mission. So that's what I really like about Bloomboard's platform as well. And on to the structure. So there's 3 major pieces to the structure. Number 1 is your rank 1 teachers will also benefit from the program. So your rank 1 teachers can't achieve a rank change, but they can become mentors to each of the teachers that are in the cohort. And Bloomboard actually will do the compensation per mentee. It's $1,000. And they allow teachers to do up to 10 mentees. So that could be a $10,000 stipend for each of your rank 1 teachers. The second piece is the job embedded professional development via the micro-credentialing. And the third piece is very much like a dissertation, but it's called a capstone project where the teacher selects an area of growth, either in her classroom, the school, or the district, and then they develop through research some strategies for basically solving the issue or improving the issue, and then the capstone is submitted as the culminating project to the program. Couple more slides. So the assignments, there's 24 micro-credentials. The teacher gets to pick 12 of those. It's all self-paced. It can be completed in as little as 18 months, but no longer than 36 months. Assignments are research-based and accredited while being job embedded. So Bloom Board has teamed with some universities, KEDC as well, to put the micro-credentialing together. And last one, so this is kind of what we're thinking as a timeline. So principals will select the date and time that they would like to have Bloom Board presented to their staff. Teachers will be asked about their interest in the program. Principals will assist in creating a rubric with the district about teacher selection, because our hope is that we just have everyone knocking down the doors to do this. Candidates will then sign a 6-year memorandum of understanding with Clark County Public Schools after completion of the program. So that could give us an opportunity to keep a teacher almost a decade with that memorandum. Our short-term goal is to initiate cohort 1, consisting of about 55 teachers using ESSER funds. It's $6,050 per teacher, and we'd love to start with girls' approval this January.
So question, why would they sign after instead of before?
So there are several districts who have already done this in Kentucky. So generally out west, and there's several districts up north that have done it. So the 6-year memorandum basically, and some districts have even went 8 years with it. It basically just says, we are going to invest in you. We'd like to see you turn around and reinvest in us. So it's kind of the stance that they've taken. But we could always change that if you wanted them to sign prior.
Well, I guess my question is, they go through the program, we spend the money for them, and I think it's great. I think it's a great program. The only question is, what would make them, what would require them to sign it instead of leaving after they achieve it?
So I guess there's no way to really require them to sign it, but it would be reportable to EPSB if they broke contract or broke an agreement of understanding. Just kind of like our regular contracts that we have now in place.
So it's your recommendation to do it after?
We can do it before. I'm good with doing it before as well. We don't really know how long. Like some staff will be able to finish in 18 months. Some may take up to 36 months. Some may have a medical leave in the middle, and that's what else is really flexible about it. Is it allows the teacher to start and stop whenever he or she needs to. So if someone had to go on maternity leave, they could take off, 3 to 6 months. So I think that's another piece of why some people do that completion too, because you don't know if it's going to take someone
Right.
the entire
I get
36
it.
months.
And I guess if it became an issue, we could always change it, so.
Yes, so
Yeah.
memorandum would be something simply.
Yeah. Okay.
Any additional questions or discussion? Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as written on the agenda.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Dr. Parrish. Item number 2, assessment update, KSA, iReady, CSIP, CDIP, development, next steps for improvement. Ms. Pippin.
Lots of things tonight on the agenda. All right, so they're going to pull up a PowerPoint. I'm not going to go through every slide tonight. It is quite a lengthy PowerPoint, but it does give you a snapshot of all of our KSA data and then building into our iReady data as well. But there are a couple of things that I would like to just mention and point out. If you'll go to the slide that says items to consider, just as we dive into our new accountability system, some items to consider as we look at our Kentucky Summative Assessment. Remember that this was our state assessment that we took in the spring of last year. These are some things that the state has pointed out with regards to our KSA assessment scores. There were COVID-related disruptions to be displayed in our data. COVID had a profound impact on students in schools, and students are continuing to recover from the interrupted learning over the past 2 years. So all of that is, of course, being displayed in our data that we currently have. The data provides a point-in-time temperature check that allows districts additional data to better track and address students' academic needs. And it provides a consistent statewide starting point for academic recovery. So that's how we're looking at the data. This is where we stand, and then what are we going to do to move forwards? There are a couple of things that I do want to highlight regarding our scores. If you'll go to the school and state comparison, it is several slides within. So it does have a breakdown by school so that you can go through and look at that. But this slide right here, or yes, you're right there. The elementary schools, the state comparison. So there are a couple of things that I want to point out as we look at ourselves in relation to the state scores as a whole. So if you look at math in the proficient range, we worked consistently at 34%, whereas the state was 28%. So we were scoring above the state average there, and our distinguished was very close. The same with reading. Clark County was scoring 1% above the state. Our writing was the same. And then if you drop down to social studies, we were scoring above the state in proficient level and at the distinguished level. So those are a couple of things. While we have things to work on, those are a couple of celebrations that we want to bring about that did come through, even though that we were testing after a pandemic. So I wanted to make sure I noted those. If you go on to the next couple of slides, where it does the same comparison for our middle school. And again, you'll note that Baker, when they break apart these scores, the 5th grade actually goes to our elementary accountability, and the 6th grade goes to our middle school accountability. So that's why you saw social studies scores being displayed with elementary, because social studies is not tested in 3rd or 4th grade, but it is in 5th. And then our 6th grade then gets represented on the middle schools. So if you're looking at these comparisons, in math, Clark County was scoring above the state at 33% and in the proficient range, whereas the state was at 28%. And again, we were 1% ahead with our distinguished. In reading, we were very close. We were off by 1% with the state. And then if you drop down to science, our proficient scored 2% above the state, and our distinguished was the same. And then if you look at social studies, 1% off for both the proficient and distinguished levels. So although we've been through a pandemic, I do feel like we have stayed steady and still making progress through it all. So I'm very excited about what's to come as we continue to move forwards and have our students in person for a whole year without masks, without being separated, and being able to fully implement instruction as we see fit. And then lastly, I'll point out the high schools, if you'll go to a few more slides, please. So this is the comparison of the high school to the state. Again, math, we were scoring 4% above the state for proficient and 1% above the state for distinguished. The reading was very close, 1% off from the state and proficient, and we were the same for the distinguished level. And then for writing, we were 2% above the state. In science, our distinguished was about the same, or was the same, and then social studies, we were very close. So those are just some highlights, and again, if you dive deeper into the PowerPoint, it does break it apart by school, but I just wanted to bring attention to those couple of things. Then later on in the slides, you will notice some iReady data. iReady is our universal screener that we're now using 3 times a year. We did this the very first couple weeks of school. So it gives our teachers another data point to use moving forwards. Whereas KSA, our state assessment, is very reliable. That was in the spring. Then we have the summer, but then we have our reliable data that we can usually or almost always build instruction based upon those iReady results. So that is included as well. If you all have any questions regarding KSA or iReady data.
Thank you for the update.
I also, want to note that included in your documents are some next steps. Each of our schools, as we're looking at this data, we are putting things into place at every school level. So what are we going to do moving forwards? And again, like we're saying that there are things to celebrate, we have a lot of work to do ahead. So if you will look under each school in the next steps for improvement, each school has listed several things that we're doing as we move forward to really combat that learning loss.
Thank you. Do you have any questions? Next item, assessment update, or no, that's it. Consolidated monitoring report, excuse me.
Back in March of last year, Clark County had the first audit of this magnitude that I'm aware of, but our Title I department was audited. And while the report identified several strengths, there were multiple areas identified for improvement. To date, we are just reporting that the findings have either been fulfilled, and if you go through those documents, the findings, if they are fulfilled, have been noted in green. If they are things that we're still working on, they have been noted in yellow. And to date, everything has either been fulfilled or in the process of being worked on. Some of these things take several documentation levels, where we'll have to present a plan, and then we'll have to carry out that plan and then show that we're making progress towards that plan. So we hope to have that wrapped up within the next month, but we would just wanted to bring attention that these findings are being corrected today.
Is there anything that needs to be pointed out that needs board attention that still is in the process?
Yes, sir. One thing is going to be the Title I Parent and Family Engagement Policy. There were some things that we were not in line with according to Title I that we need to change. So that is, the next thing on our agenda is looking at a new revamped Title I Parent Engagement Policy. And that's one thing that we have to be in compliance with right away. So as soon as we get that approved, we'll be in compliance there.
Any other questions?
Just need to acknowledge
Vote to acknowledge.
it. Do we need to vote to acknowledge it? Do you know?
Just acknowledge.
I think we just did.
Just acknowledge.
Thank you. Number 4, Title I Parent and Family Engagement Policy.
Okay. During our monitoring report, it was brought to our attention that our parent and family engagement policy was missing some components. So I have reached out to KSBA, and you should have before you the old policy, or I should say the current policy as it stands right now, and the new policy that I'm proposing. It is a KSBA policy that meets all the statutory and ESSA requirements per KSBA, and it would also fulfill our Title I requirements that we are failing to obligate right now. There were just a couple of things that were left off our current policy that should be embedded. So those have been added to the new policy. And it is, again, a KSBA policy.
Are you needing that, our approval on that?
It would
Yeah.
require a first reading, yes,
So
ma'am.
you'll have to change your agenda right there.
It's on the
E-meetings.
e-meetings.
Oh, okay.
The one we have printed off.
Does not show.
No, but it's,
Okay, so I
it's-
gotta go back. Okay. I was thinking.
no, you're okay. Any questions about that or discussion before we proceed? I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of the Title I Parent and Family Engagement Policy.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 5, Kagan, is that correct?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So one component of our instructional vision and our plan is to incorporate Kagan into all of our Clark County Public Schools. And this is in alignment with what we're trying to do instructionally within our district. So in order to prove our instruction, our Tier 1 instruction across the district, we are hoping to be able to implement Kagan, and I have a short video just to kind of familiarize yourselves with what Kagan actually is.
Kagan is all about engagement. Traditional teaching engages some students, but not all. Kagan is a revolutionary approach to teaching that actively engages every student. Let's look at the problems traditional teaching creates. Students sit in rows. The rule is no talking. The teacher presents new information or a new skill. To engage students, the teacher asks the class a question. One student responds at a time. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? So what's wrong with that? The first problem is we set our students against each other. When the teacher calls on Peter to answer, Susan lowers her hand in disappointment. Ah! But when Peter begins to falter, she shoots her hand back up, waves it wildly. Pick me, teacher. A subset of students compete for the opportunity to shine. A competitive class is not a brain-friendly learning environment. The next problem is students spend very little time actively engaged. The teacher is doing most of the talking most of the time. When we finally do engage students, it's one at a time. It's like being in a long line, waiting to be served. A big percent of the class is somewhere between mildly interested and comatose. Many students don't want to turn. They feel they can't or don't want to compete. Johnny is shy. Monica is lower achieving. Juan is still learning English. These students don't want to be singled out. Don't call on me. They hide. They opt out. It's no wonder we have an achievement gap. Traditional teaching engages some of the class, but many students can easily slip through the cracks. Kagan engages all students. We turn things around, literally. Instead of facing the back of a classmate's head, we turn students around to face each other. Instead of calling on one student at a time, we can call on all students. Using the Kagan structure time to fair share, the teacher asks a question. In pairs, partner A shares for 30 seconds, and partner B shares for 30 seconds. Everyone has a turn. Sharing with a partner is safe. There's no need to hide. In just a little over a minute, we engage every student. In the same amount of time in the traditional class, we engage one student. What's better, engage one student or engage every student? Absolutely right. Everyone learns more. It's not just the amount of engagement that matters. It also matters how we engage students. With Kagan structures, we engage students with interactive pair and team structures. While students master academic curriculum, they develop essential social skills. They learn teamwork skills. They develop communication skills. They practice leadership skills. These are the very college and career readiness skills our students call. In teams, students are no longer isolated or competing against each other. They celebrate each other's successes. They are on the same side. Cooperation leads to kinder and more caring kids. We create buddies, not bullies. Kagan's simple yet powerful structures transform education. In member heads together, teammates put their heads together to review. Everyone is more active and the content becomes more memorable. In quiz trade, students repeatedly quiz classmates. They have so much more fun being up and active than working alone. In rally coach, partners solve problems together. Instead of independent practice, students have a peer to coach them and provide immediate feedback. Why teach the traditional way when we have so many alternatives to engage every student? Kagan isn't something we think might work. Kagan is scientifically research-based. Hundreds of studies on collaborative learning show tremendous academic and social gains over traditional learning. With Kagan, teachers are engaging their disengaged students. Struggling schools are making dramatic gains. Entire districts are raising their test scores. Kagan works. Kagan works because Kagan creates full engagement for every student. Engaged students aren't bored or disrupted. Engaged students enjoy school more. Engaged students learn more. Kagan, it's all about engagement.
So Kagan is one thing that we would like to incorporate in our district in all of our classrooms, K through pre-K through 12th grade. We feel that it would really heighten our instructional plan, our instructional leadership plan, and it does require a phased-in approach. In order to do this effectively and not just come in and train on Kagan systems and the structures and just do it a one-time thing and be done, we would like to phase it in for a 3-year plan. That 3-year plan would train leadership, so our leadership could then monitor and make sure that teachers are using these structures effectively. It has a coaching plan so that administrators and our leaders know how to coach using Kagan. And then we would have teacher leaders and teacher training. So it would be a 3-year plan that we would like to sustain. And then as new teachers come into our district, we would have a plan that they would have that training during the new teacher network or the new teacher orientation that they come in at the beginning of the school year. So this is something that we really feel that we could sustain and would bring a lot of growth into our instructional capacity. With this being a 3-year plan, it does come with a nice price tag. Right around $300,000. We would only pay for a year at a time using ESSER funds. So we are asking for approval to be able to do that.
So is it a total cost of 300 and so
Yes.
pay it?
Yes.
Yeah. But you'll pay it a portion of a payment
Right.
essentially
Right.
each year.
Yes. We wouldn't pay it all at once. It's just our approach to doing that in the district. We would do a phased-in approach and just train a component 1 year. That would start with our teacher leaders and then our administrative leaders, and then we would go on to our next phase 2 and then phase 3.
Sure, that was based on my recommendation of not getting into the habit again of paying for years ahead and being caught with writing checks that if we weren't satisfied, not be able to get that money back. We fully expect it to be, but also learn lessons of the past. So that's but ESSER we haven't for a couple years suspended. So week, like what we see with the deal on it.
Is there a contract that has to be signed with Kagan?
There would be a contract, yes, but we could work that out, I'm sure, to make sure that we're just
Okay,
paying it.
as long as Ms. McCoy agrees to the terms or agrees to the language in the contract?
Yes, if it's a multi-year contract, I would recommend we make sure there's not a non-appropriation clause, though if the board didn't want to spend the money next year.
Any other questions?
Mhm.
Would someone like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of Kagan Engagement Strategy for the use of pre-K through 12 classroom for the amount of $303,520.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Whitman. Student support services. Consider approval to solicit bids for the field lighting system replacements for the Justice football and Campbell softball fields. Mr. Stunt.
We'd like to ask the board for your consideration to direct us to formally solicit bids for two of our oldest lighting systems on our athletic fields. The fields of Justice Elementary School, which is a football, soccer field complex, and the girls softball field on Robert E. Campbell site. Both of those fields consist of wood structures that hold lights up and are far past their life expectancy. And we would like to solicit bids and bring those bids back to the board for your consideration at the November regular session.
So what's been included in our packet? These are the bids? I thought these were already bids for those
Well, we've
projects.
gotten quotes. We haven't formally put it out for bid.
Okay.
And to be consistent with model procurement, something over,
Yeah.
all projects over 30 has to be formally bid. We have not done that. We've solicited
Okay.
quotes from manufacturers.
So really kind of a housekeeping. Any questions?
Is the softball field, is it behind the old football stadium? Is it like up behind there?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So do we have sports teams that do things there now?
Yeah, our girls softball, our middle school girls softball
Middle school, okay.
team plays at that field.
Any additional questions or discussions? Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Stubb. Student support, that's our finance update, sorry. Acknowledgement of monthly CCPS financial update.
So if you look at our monthly financials that we've been looking at every month, at this point, we are really spot on exactly where we have been prior September, 11%, 13% as far as revenue and expenditures go. The first 3 months of our year is always only SEEK revenue based, so that's why you see like that deficiency. We're spending more right now than we're actually bringing in this first 3 months till our property taxes start up next month, which is our largest piece of our income. SEEK's very consistent across the 12 months, but property taxes are kind of focused on about a 3-4 month period, so that's why you're seeing that. But otherwise, we're functioning how we function in the prior year as far as revenue and expenditures go. And then the next slide is for taxes laid out. Again, you see the property taxes at this point. We will see that jump up next month with collections. And franchises, you never know how that's really going to fall out. And the motor vehicle is actually quite a bit up from the prior year, so that is a nice surprise. Collections. And then you have all your standard financial reports for review. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to answer them, but otherwise, very short and sweet this month on financials.
Any questions? Authorized payment of salaries and accounts payable, Ms. Ellis.
Your bills, please.
I'll make the motion to authorize payment of salaries. You are, or is that,
Yeah.
okay.
Our payables and our
Yeah,
payroll.
we're just gonna pay people.
Thank you, thank you.
You're popular
I'll
tonight.
second.
Yeah.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Ellis.
Megan, can I have like 2 minutes with the board attorney real quick?
Yes.
Just a 2-minute recess.
I'm gonna call a 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Be back at 7:15. Business, consider approval of a one-time donation of $2,000 to the YSL FFA collaboration at George Rogers Clark High School on October 30th. Ms. Ritchie.
Yes. It's more, the WYSL has joined with FFA this year to hold the Halloween Fest. WYSL will be putting on, well, let me start. FFA is doing the trunk or treat with the local churches. WYSL has took on the bouncy house. We're going to do cotton candy, we're going to do the prizes, and we're going to do candy as well. The football, CCYA, they're going to come out. We've got them a game to be able to play. We've rented one. And then I'm waiting on Winchester Little League to contact me back. So basically, I've talked to Dustin through Mr. Howard, through all of this. We are trying to get our grandparents, people that are not on social media, to be able to see what the youth programs are in Clark County. So we are doing all this out at the athletic fields, out of GRC. So it's from 6 to 8 on Sunday. However, these youth programs don't have a whole lot of money right now, and we're kind of broke. And the bouncy houses and stuff like that add up. So that's why we're asking for a one-time donation, just to kind of get this started. We hope that this is a every year thing for the kids of this community. Did I skip anything? Was that kind of the gist?
No, we really want to get, again, people in our buildings, at our locations, at our facilities.
Yes.
And some people don't want to, shockingly, because we've got great athletics. So come on out if you haven't been. We're going to win on Friday, come out Friday night.
I'm
But
trying
really
to
to
talk
get
Dustin
them,
into run the bouncy
to see what
house.
kind of facilities that you guys, we've provided our kids, all of our kids, and get them at a young age and get them to appreciate and run on the turf field. If I was 8 years old and you put me on a turf field, I may never leave back in the day. So really just, again, an appreciation, showing off our facilities and get people on our campus.
So you consider this to be the first of many year
Yes.
event?
Miss Pig with FFA and Steve Crosby actually started this last year with just the trunk or treat. And it got so backed up that they basically had to shut. I don't know if Bill went out that night or not, but Boonesboro Road was pretty backed up, they said. They want to keep growing this and seeing what they can do to keep moving this forward for all these kids. But yes, we hope this is one of many. I went out to the high school and actually met with Steve and Tara the other day, and we kind of planned everything out of where it's going to be, and I think we got a good handle on it. So we're actually really excited, and we hope that it keeps moving forward and we get more athletic. Because the problem is you have so many people that are not on social media, and talking through some of the coaches through our district, you know, they're not getting as many trying out now. So if we can build these programs up to feed into our programs.
So that's how you're getting the word out through the coaches?
Yeah, and I'm hoping that Mr. Howard will do one call for us on like Thursday or Friday to spread that out through all the schools and parents and everything too. And we put it, I mean, we have advertised that we've got flyers out. Tara did a really cute flyer, and she just included everybody's name on it that's helped sponsoring it. So yeah, it's just kind of a community thing right now at this point, but.
Cool.
So, you know, that's when I first came to Dustin and Megan, I brought it up to both of them. They were both very supportive, and, you know, it's kind of been in the works. I think we started talking about it at September. Is when Megan and I started talking about it, of trying to figure out a way. This is just a way to let people see what we have for our youth as well as they're coming up. Because we're trying to get them busy. Because I know at one time they had done a study on how many youth are actually living with grandparents and stuff like that. Well, I know if you stick my dad in front of Facebook and tell him to figure it out, you ain't gonna get my son, any of them signed up. It ain't happening. He doesn't have a clue. So we want to go back to kind of the old-fashioned style of, here's your paper application. Would you like to play? This is what we offer. And I know WYSL is gonna have paper applications.
So they're gonna have booths set up there so kids can sign up for soccer,
football. I have not heard back from the Little League yet. Winchester, the baseball. I have reached out, and then Upward is with the churches. They're going to be up there with them, so I'm assuming they'll have stuff. But yes, football and soccer is going to be down there. Civitan did not want to be a part. And I am not the only one. I had Dustin verify that one with me on Civitan. So.
Good effort. Any other questions?
Well, before you take a vote or anything. Oh, yeah, y'all can ask questions before I leave, but.
You don't have to leave for the vote. You're
I've got to recuse and walk out.
Oh.
The donation would come out of general fund, or where would that come out of?
As general fund.
Okay.
Okay, and Ashley's gonna recuse herself because she is on the YSL board, correct?
Yes, I'm the vice president of WYSL.
So any more questions? We good to vote?
All right, I'm leaving it in y'all's hands.
Don't go far.
Mine. Might go to Burger King, chicken nuggets.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve $2,000 donation to the WYSL FFA collaboration event at the high school on October 30th.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Ms. Ritchie? Pull me out. She did go, but she went far.
That does, you did say WYSL too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Didn't want to send Tara into a panic.
No, the motion passed. Thank you.
Thanks, guys, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ms. Ritchie, for your hard work. Superintendent's report, Mr. Howard.
Sure, just want to keep you guys apprised on some things coming up. First off, Friday is National First Responders Day, so working with Ms. Bush and Ms. Lowry in the cafeteria, we're offering lunch on us. So this will be going out to the public for first responders to come to any cafeteria in Clark County and eat a delicious meal on us as appreciation. So again, thank you for those two for helping us get that together. On November the 3rd, we're having our community event. We want input from the community, so if you're watching this, please come out. It's going to be at George Rogers Clark High School from 6:30 to 8 in the Media Center. The goal of this event is really to build an action plan, getting community input to plan and put together a 3 to 5 year plan of how we move forward to greatness, what I call it, in all areas. So there'll be different topics. Everyone will get input opportunities. I'll kind of give a state of the school system address, and then we'll work together because it's our school system and our community. So this is kind of our big kickoff event. We're also working with the Emergency Operations Center. I'm having all the principals have our principal meeting out to the EOC. If you've never been to the EOC, it's basically the command center here in Clark County. If something bad were to happen, it can survive an F5 tornado, I've been told. But they have the Sheriff's Department is going to be there, the local police, fire department, both county and city, also EMTs, and we're going to have an event there really starting to look at our emergency management procedures, aligning with theirs so that we, again, are not living in silos. And our principals get to see the facility and meet folks. So we're excited about that on December 7th. We're also hosting a couple showcases. They're back. Baker had one on October 5th, I think. It was a great event. You got to go see in classrooms. You got to see students working, being engaged, doing some of the things we talked about with Kagan. Already kind of piloting some of those things, but GRC is going to be doing that November 16th. So if you get out and about, they're going to have kind of opportunities to walk around, get in the classrooms, showcase. Again, I talked before, we have fantastic facilities on the outside, athletics, gymnasium. We've got fantastic things going on in our classroom, and so we're going to start doing a better job of showcasing those. As far as I'm working with GRC to start a superintendent board of education kind of advisory council. It's something moving forward, not having one person necessarily, but they'll meet with me. I'm working with one of the staff out there. I just want to tell you that's kind of the leadership thing we're working on, getting input so that students have voice. They can talk about things going on in their buildings, things that we need to tighten up. So I'm very excited about that. Then the other thing is I am doing some site visits with all of our principals. So our evaluation cycle, part of it is in the fall. I go to their building. We do walkthroughs. We go through professional growth plan, and then we do a mini evaluation. So the days of principal being alone without feedback are over. So we started that process in November. So we're very excited to get, again, for me, to get out and about and seeing things. And the only other thing, we're continuing, we monitor attendance every day. We'll continue to do that. We'll keep the public focused if there's ever something that would cause us to look at. If our attendance was too low, being out, we'll do that with a timely, not the day before, message to get out to make sure we're addressing any needs. But right now, looking at our data, we're good to go. So, any questions of me? Go Cards.
Yeah, I will make a comment that I've had several community members reach out to me about the community event. So I think it's going to be hopefully it'll be a good showing. I think it's a good thing for the community.
I appreciate that. I'm excited. Of course, I'm easily excited when those things get. But I appreciate the feedback.
Consent agenda items. Any questions, discussion about that? If not, would someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve. I ain't gonna do that, just the consent items or.
Yeah.
Consent items 1 through 20.
Yeah, 1 through 20.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
All right.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned at 7:24. Thanks.
For the record.
I love e-meetings. That's great.